Another year and another conversation about the Detroit Lions needing a backup quarterback. A few years ago, we signed Teddy Bridgewater after a visit. And remember, we didn't initially sign him. He flew back without a deal, but eventually the Detroit Lions signed him. And fortunately for us, we didn't really need him. Having a backup quarterback, a capable backup quarterback, is the equivalent of having full coverage insurance. You don't really need it until you need it. Right. And then when you do need it, you're glad you have it. So any conversations, I've been talking about a backup quarterback for literally my entire time being on YouTube. I got into some heated conversations with some people that don't even make videos anymore on a consistent basis, talking about investing in a quality backup quarterback. And we saw the need for one not only yesterday, but also when Jared Goff went down for a series and in the Washington game. But I want to say Teddy Bridgewater came in the year before that when he was with the team as well. You don't need, okay, so you got different type of backup quarterbacks, right? You got full coverage. You got where you get into an accident, you pay your deductible, your car's good as new. Or they cash you out. You know what I'm saying? All that other stuff. Then you got no fault, aka your fault. And then they got something like 7-day insurance and then 24-hour insurance. Like, that's what we talking about here. It's always good to invest. Insurance is great. You're paying, it's great when you need it, right? That's what a backup quarterback is for, insurance. It needs to be labeled insurance QB. As a matter of fact, let's change the name of QB2 to insurance QB. Why am I making this video? Because everyone saw last night that it is time for us to get another situation that we get a backup quarterback. On the table, maybe, we don't know this, could be Teddy Bridgewater. Of course, if Teddy wants to come back, there's that stuff that happened with his high school, but he said he ain't leaving, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but he would be something. Teddy came in during the playoffs, and thankfully we didn't need him during the season. Hendon Hooker got a chance to play. The Lions were blowing people out. Jared Goff was not banged up enough not to play, all right? But I don't even want to say this. I'm not superstitious, but I know that some of y'all are. And if something happens to JG, y'all gonna want to blame me, and that ain't cool, right? But the Lions, no matter what, need a quality backup quarterback, and that quality backup quarterback is not on our team. I said that the backup quarterback, Kyle Allen, was Nate Sudfeld 2.0. I believe Nate Sudfeld, you cannot get any worse. Well, maybe. There's a couple names that come to mind. Tim Boyle is worse than Nate Sudfeld, but that's very, very low standards at that point. But there's a guy sitting out there that has played, not only was drafted right after Jared Goff, but also played for Jared Goff's former team, and that is quarterback Carson Wentz, who has been relegated to a backup role. His days as a starter is over. Before we look at Carson Wentz stats, I want to show y'all something. Y'all ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this. Put it in the comment section if you're ready for this, because you ain't ready for it. I'm telling you that right now. Now, we know that there's a lot of people that are going to probably be free agents when it comes to the season approaching. People are going to get cut, and then they are going to find new teams. How many of those are going to be quality backups? Now, this is according to Spot Track, all right? I'm going to show y'all, before we dive into Carson Wentz, his market value, his stats, and why he probably would be a great fit, honestly, for the Detroit Lions in the backup QB role. Let's take a look. This is coming from Spot Track, okay? And you tell me which one of these guys would you want. This is, according to Spot Track, the available quarterbacks. You can see right here, there's 2 tabs, signed and available. Available is selected. You've got Carson Wentz, Teddy Bridgewater, which we discussed, CJ Beathard, no, Tyler Huntley, and Jeff Driscoll, Logan Woodside, and Jake from State Farm, a former Detroit Lion. Wouldn't be mad at that either, but the Detroit Lions decided to move on for whatever reason and go with Kyle Allen. They could go back to Jake, or they can go in a different direction and go Carson Wentz. So there, ladies and gentlemen, as of right now, August 1st, 2025 are your available backup quarterbacks as far as free agency is concerned. Now, let's go in and look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is suffering from that Yannick Ngakoue syndrome after getting drafted second overall after Jared Goff in 2016, won a Super Bowl on the bench with the Philadelphia Eagles as Nick Foles, who's now retired, took that team to a Super Bowl, he has been on 5 different teams in 5 years. The Philadelphia Eagles was his last year in 2020, the Indianapolis Colts, the Washington Commanders, which was Aiden Hutchinson's first year, the LA Rams, he backed up Matthew Stafford, and then he went and almost won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. How about that? He came this close, my brother. Maybe this is your year to get one. Not too shabby. Again, we're talking about a guy. We need a guy that can come in and run an offense, is capable of in-game experience. That, to me, is the most critical piece to a backup quarterback, is in-game experience. Hooker is not going to get better if he doesn't play games. And we're talking about practice games. Practice is nothing. Then you got preseason games. From what we saw yesterday, a preseason game, to me, is underneath a UFL game. A UFL team could be second stringers that had misfortune, but probably more like third, fourth stringers. That's what you're going to get from a UFL game. Yesterday was worse than that. You know what I'm saying? So he was going against third and fourth string. UFL, you get like high third strings, right? We've seen players, former first-round picks in the NFL, go to the UFL. Braylon Speaks, I believe, is a first-round pick back in the day. Kenny Willekes, not a first-round pick, but he was drafted in the 7th round. So NFL people who actually were drafted to the NFL are now the UFL. So we need in-game experience, right? Carson has that. And you know what I think would help as well is that him being drafted right behind JG, they probably don't talk, but they talked for a little bit during the draft process, no doubt, right? If you guys remember Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith, I would assume it was something like that because it was like, which one is going to go first, Carson Wentz or Jared Goff? But I think that maybe that could be also where a kind of dynamic could be built where whatever good qualities Jared can hand off to Carson Wentz to help him be better. But if Carson came in, I wouldn't be devastated. I mean, would I prefer Jared Goff? Absolutely. But I wouldn't be devastated like I would if he went down right now with Hendon Hooker. And I'm not even blaming Hendon. You cannot get better. When was the last thing you got better at with no practice? And no legitimate, we're not talking with no experience. How about that? Because he gets practice. But if you don't do something repeatedly, if Hendon is not allowed to play, and that's why it sucks that the NFL, I know it's a brutal sport and injuries would be rampant, but you don't get to play. If you don't come in and you don't evolve very quickly, you will get left behind, and then you will inevitably wind up in the UFL anyway, in a spring football league or some arena football league, right? So anyway, I think that the NFL, as much as it would probably be tough for like injuries and such, if the NBA has a G League or D League, the baseball has a minor league, hockey probably got something too. The NFL does not have something, and I think they should. I mean, there are people that play in the spring football league and come directly to the NFL with no break in between. So I think, to me, I think it would be worth the risk to give players a chance to develop, and maybe you could also give them the option to make that choice. Like, we want to send you down there, and you don't even have to have, and I know this is turning into like a UFL video, but you don't even have to have a team for every city. You could send people, you could have a couple teams, maybe 10 teams, 12 teams, and you can send people from all different teams to these teams, and they can make up the spring football league. But that's just me. You will never get better unless you get experience. But Carson Wentz, I think here's probably not only his experience in game, former Super Bowl champion, even though he was on the bench. I want you to take a look at his market value, and you probably won't get a better deal than this. Carson Wentz market value is 1 year for a little less than $2 million. That is completely doable. That's completely doable. That's almost the perfect. You would want to get a backup quarterback of Carson Wentz caliber at $2 million. That's to me, that would be great. That would be great. Again, we're talking about a backup quarterback. So a quarterback you hope you never have to see. But as of this moment, right now, would you prefer off the top of the dome? And put it in the comment section below. This is going to be some good dialogue. Out of the three quarterbacks, the two currently on our roster, here are the rules to this question. You cannot alter them in any way, all right? Because that is not what the question will be. The question is, which quarterback would you prefer? There is no wrong answer. Would you prefer if Jared Goff went down in whatever game, leading the offense? What quarterback would you prefer leading the offense? Carson Wentz, Kyle Allen, or Hendon Hooker? Myself, I probably would take, I would take Carson Wentz twice on Sunday, simply because he has the in-game experience. He's not the best. I mean, look at the fall off between Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. There was a reason he went first. But then you got guys like Aaron Rodgers, who went almost at the end of the round. And then you got Alex Smith, who was first overall. And Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback, right? So for me, I'm calling him tomorrow. Because Teddy has obligations. I'll let Teddy be Teddy. And I will call Carson Wentz today. I would bring him in, at least bring him in during camp. You can keep all these rosters. You could have, you got a bonus preseason game. So you could bring in, this is what I would do. I would sign Carson Wentz today. I would bring him in today, or I would work him out, see if he's fit. If he's fit, sign him, bring him in. I would give Hendon Hooker the first half of next week's game and throw Carson out there the second half of the game. Then somehow the third preseason game, now you got three quarterbacks, right? So how are you going to do maybe whoever's doing great in practice, I give you a full half and the other two get quarters, right? And then the same thing would happen for the last game. What I would do is the winner, I would have them play the entire game. The entire game. So if Carson Wentz is leading the pack by preseason game 3, he would play the entire game. He would play the entire game because it is a real possibility that I'm not going to go so far to say that Hendon is cut, but it's a real possibility that one of them is not on the roster come kickoff. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. It feels weird, man, because stuff was so slow, and now it's crazy with information.